Hello everyone and welcome to week 6 of our Literature and the Environment class. This week I always get excited because we are turning towards fiction. We've been reading nonfiction for the first 5 weeks and now we're focused in on fiction. And in particular we're focused in on the wonderful Maine author Sarah Orne Jewett, who comes out of South Berwick. She wrote at the turn of the century, and we are focused in on coastal Maine, which today, oh goodness, you can't see anything. Looks like that. Cloudy, rainy, sorry about that. I hope you didn't get sick. Cloudy, rainy, and foggy, which is the world of the small town Dunnett's Landing that Sarah Orne Jewett creates. She was a writer from Massachusetts. She came up here for the summers, fell in love with the place, fell in love with coastal communities, and she focused her efforts on creating those communities in her fiction. This is known generally as local color fiction, and that's the kind of writing that focuses not just on character but on culture. So in this book you're going to read about Mainer qualities, their language, their societies, their hierarchies, their methods of work, their methods of community, and in particular their language. I love reading this. I'm not originally from Maine. I'm from Michigan. And Michigan's got its own strange linguistic quirks. If you've ever been there before, you know that we don't call soda soda, we call soda pop. And that's just one small thing. There are a lot of different Michigan colloquialisms. Maine has them as well. And Sarah Orne Jewett is focused on expressing those colloquialisms, those language, and those cultures. In particular, she creates a cast of characters in this community that are completely surrounded and involved in the nature that's in their community. This is a coastal community. This is a fishing community, a shipping community, and so the ocean plays a huge role in their lives. But also we have plants, trees, animals that seem to not only live amongst the humans, but with them. And one thing I absolutely adore about this book is that Sarah Orne Jewett creates really strong characters who have connection to place. And place comes to define what their lives are. This is from the introduction of one of the copies of the book. It says, most fiction does depict place, but is something secondary, a background or an embellishment. Usually it is society that serves as the context within which character is revealed. In Jewett, this arrangement is reversed. Place, the coast of Maine, takes on a primary role. There is the society of Dunnet Landing, but it is nearly overwhelmed by the landscape of which we are almost always aware in the way that the inhabitants of small Maine villages in the 19th century were. Indeed, society really is an abstraction here, represented by the, quote, best rooms, unquote, that even people who live hermit-like lives out in the country maintain, though the occasions on which they actually use them might be few. Jewett presents these rooms as symbolically honoring the idea of society as if it were a deity, invisible but held in awe. There's also village society, in which almost nothing escapes notice. But the lives that we enter in the country of the pointed firs, though bound up in that microcosm, are for the most part turned inward. The most memorable characters are those who, for one reason or another, live in interior worlds. Thus we have an unusual combination of interior life balanced by the vivid landscape, with the rest sketched in. We go deeply into the world of the character's imagination, and at the same time know about the breeze, the sunlight, and the gathering clouds. The interior worlds are fantastic. Old Captain Littlepage. And note that name, by the way, an author creating a male character named Littlepage. An old Captain Littlepage, for example, in The Waiting Place, tells the tale we hear from Gafford, a shipwrecked Scotsman, of a warm, open sea in the North Pole, and on whose shore the city of wraiths that he was sure was a kind of limbo purgatory. And then we meet other characters as well. All the while, there is the landscape, anchoring us in the outer world, unwavering, solid, and staunchly empirical. The country-appointed Firs finds in the landscape a reflection of self. Sarah Orne Jewett's life was full of society and career and relationships and work, all the things that are material of the more conventional 19th century novel, and yet we find none of that in her best writing, but rather these vast realms of solitude, the impenetrable apartness, sometimes centered, sometimes not, on the characters of Dunnet Landing on their beautiful, battered seacoast. Now, I want you to pay attention in the reading for this week. You're not reading the whole book. I just posted a short selection of it. I want you to pay attention to how the characters' interior lives, their emotional states, their relationships, are affected by the exterior world that they live in. I also want you to notice how Sarah Orne Jewett creates really strong, wonderful, intelligent, engaging female characters. I've read a lot of novels. I haven't read everything, of course, but I've read a lot of novels, and I absolutely adore the character of Mrs. Todd. She's one of my favorite. She's a local widower who lost her husband at sea and has such vast knowledge of plants. She creates concoctions and lozenges and teas for the individuals around her. She knows them not only by their personalities, but also the plants that help them live. And she's just one of the many strong female characters in this novel. Again, I want you to pay particular attention to how the characters' lives are influenced by the natural world around them. Finally, for my Maine students out there, the ones who grew up in Maine, I'd love to hear from you about what you think this presentation of Maine culture is. Is it true? Is it similar to the experience you've had with family or friends in your towns? I'm very interested in whether or not an outsider, somebody who comes from Massachusetts up here and spends summers here, could really see things that even the people who live in those communities couldn't. Enjoy the novel, enjoy the fiction. I'm really excited for us to get into a little fiction in this class. And you have a discussion assignment and a reading response. We're halfway through the semester. Continue working on your close reading journal. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always feel free to reach out to me by email. And I hope you're doing well. Take care and enjoy the local color fiction for the week.